Friends, I am currently working as a nurse at the Shifa Central Medical Hospital in Dubai. My job involves checking the blood pressure and sugar levels of patients in the gynecology department, as these tend to increase during pregnancy. I am responsible for conducting checkups and administering medications to these pregnant women. I have received proper training for this role. Every day, thousands of patients visit the gynecology department, and I perform the same tasks for all of them, after which the senior doctors take over. They treat these women who give birth to healthy babies and are discharged a few days later. However, one day an incident occurred that left all the doctors and nurses in awe. The main character of this incident was a young Palestinian woman. Something miraculous happened while she was giving birth, and to know what happened, watch the video until the end. And friends, if you are new to the channel, please like this video, subscribe, and click the bell icon to get started. One day, the woman came to the hospital. As per Dubai's rules, all women must wear a hijab, especially in public places where they might encounter non-mahram men. The most admirable aspect of this young woman was how beautifully she covered herself from head to toe. No matter how strict a country's laws on covering are, a woman's intention and dedication to adhere to Sharia must be strong. The girl was very young, around 19-20 years old. She had an innocent look about her, and her husband was standing next to her, which surprised me. He was a tall man, around 6 to 6.5 feet, with a very tough demeanor. It seemed like the girl was afraid of her husband, but she did not show her fear in front of me. After all, I was a stranger. Why would she talk to me about her personal life? Moreover, I always made it a practice never to ask patients about their personal matters. But what surprised me the most was when her dark-skinned husband told me, "Ours is a love marriage. I love my wife very much." I smiled and said, "That's very good." But looking at the girl's face, I felt a great deal of pity. Her expression was visibly sad. The man said it was a love marriage, but the tears welling up in the girl's eyes told a different story. She seemed very distressed for some reason, but she could not express her sadness in front of me. After completing all formalities, I asked her, "Is this the only guardian you have with you, your husband? Who will go into the cabin with you?" In Dubai, hospitals allow a patient to bring along their husband, child, mother, or mother-in-law into the cabin if they wish. When I asked her this question, she said, "I don't want anyone inside with me, not even my husband." I asked her again, and she replied, "I prefer to undergo all medical treatments alone. I don't like being with anyone, not even my husband." The girl firmly responded and stopped her husband right there. The man seemed very angry, but they couldn't cause any trouble in front of us. I noticed that he was internally suppressing his anger. The girl looked familiar to me, as if I had seen her somewhere before. There was a strange sense of kinship in her face. I prepared the checkup room and helped her onto the bed. She looked around with a sense of wonder, as if seeing everything for the first time. I asked, "What's your name?" She replied, "Tania Hashemzad." I asked gently, "Are you very worried about something? You can tell me if you don't mind." She requested, "Could I have a prayer rug? I need to perform ablution. I want my child to come into this world in a state of purity, and I want to be pure too. I will do as much as I can, and leave the rest to Allah, to guide my child through the right path." Tania's manner and innocent look captivated me. I fetched a prayer rug from the staff room. Seeing the rug, she was delighted, though it wasn't possible for her to perform prayers on the floor in her condition. She said, "I just want to touch the prayer rug to my head, to my face." As she kissed the prayer rug passionately, I asked, "Would you like some help?" She replied, "No, I don't want anything else. But please make sure my husband doesn't come inside. And who will deliver my baby?" I told her about Dr. Nuhash, a renowned Israeli doctor here, known for his skill and popularity, with appointments nearly impossible to secure. As per the schedule, Dr. Nuhash was supposed to perform her surgery, and she was his patient for that time slot. When I mentioned Dr. Nuhash, Tania responded, "Is he a male doctor? Will a man conduct my delivery?" I reassured her, "Yes, and you are very fortunate to be treated by Dr. Nuhash. Most deliveries are done by female doctors who may not be as skilled as him. Since Dr. Nuhash will be handling your case, you have nothing to worry about. Your treatment will be well taken care of, and you will also be protected from post-delivery complications." She objected, "I don't want a man to see me in that condition. I have lived my life in modesty, never showing even my face to a man. How can I expose myself before a man now?" I explained, "It's different with doctors. They are professionals. In their eyes, patients are just humans, not differentiated by gender." She insisted, "Please don't say that. There's definitely a difference. Why else would a man study gynecology if not for an interest in women? Please talk to them and ask for a female doctor to conduct my delivery. Otherwise, I won't have my treatment here. I'll go home." I was astonished by her words, especially since she was just half an hour away from delivery, and it was almost time for her anesthesia. Although the situation was challenging, I didn't want my words to cause her blood pressure to spike. I left the cabin and headed towards Dr. Nuhash's office, located just across my corridor. He had just arrived at the hospital and was preparing for the next case. It seemed he had never before encountered a patient who refused treatment from him. Everyone, including their guardians, was usually very pleased if Dr. Nuhash was assigned to their case. But Tania's behavior was unusual. Despite my explanations, she adamantly refused to be treated by Dr. Nuhash. I went and explained everything to him, and he too was taken aback. He was a professional doctor of Jewish descent with connections in Israel, but he had never discriminated in his treatment of any patient. Despite all his qualifications, Tania did not want to be treated by any male doctor. Dr. Nuhash looked at me thoughtfully and asked, "Who is this patient? Can you introduce me to her? Who is she to refuse treatment from me? I think she might need mental care." No female patient in this hospital has ever said anything like this. Why would she? His intense interest in the patient seemed unusual to me. I had never seen him show such concern for any other patient. "Where is she from?" he asked. I replied, "The girl is Palestinian, from the city of Hebron. She is extremely beautiful and seems fearful. It's strange because her husband has very dark skin, not typical for a Palestinian. It looks like they were forced into marriage. His appearance suggests he might be Arab. His physique and height could indicate he is African." We were talking as we walked down the corridor towards Tania's cabin. When we entered, we found the cabin empty. The bed was unoccupied. I looked at Dr. Nuhash in confusion and exclaimed, "What? Where is Tania? She was supposed to have her delivery in half an hour. She was in a critical condition. Miss Zainab, please arrange to find the patient quickly. Otherwise, our hospital's reputation will be at stake. If she has fled out of fear, you can't imagine what might happen. This is the age of social media. Even the smallest matter can go viral nowadays. Our hospital has a reputation to maintain. It's one of the best in Dubai, which not only reflects on our staff, but also on our community," the director said. His words made me worry too. I thoroughly searched the entire cabin and even the bathroom, but Tania was nowhere to be found, and searching for her became increasingly difficult for me. After all, She was 9 months pregnant. She couldn't have gone far too quickly. Finally, I confided everything to Dr. Nash. He said, "Immediately notify the hospital technician. Check all the cameras thoroughly, especially the one outside this cabin. She was here just 10 minutes ago. Where could she have gone in such a short time?" We both rushed to the technician's room and asked him to check for cameras. After reviewing all the hospital's camera footage, we learned that Tania had left the hospital just moments ago. However, her way of walking was very strange. She walked as if she had no baby in her womb, as if she had already delivered. She was also carrying the brown bag in which she had brought her belongings. Dr. Nash and I were shocked. We observed her carefully. She walked as if she was a virgin. We zoomed in on the footage over and over but could not understand. Where had her baby bump gone? Dr. Nash pointed out the disappearance of the baby bump. Then I also observed Tania carefully. Her stomach really looked like that of a normal woman, as if the baby had vanished from her womb. Where had the baby gone? I don't understand. Where did the girl go? Strange, the doctor exclaimed. There were no cameras in the labor room, so we couldn't see the footage inside. And I hadn't allowed any other nurse to enter the cabin because Tania wanted to be alone. Dr. Nash was very worried. Where had Tania's baby gone? If she had given a birth? How and when did the baby come? And where had the baby gone? We couldn't understand any of it. We went to the labor room again and checked everything thoroughly. There was no baby, no brown bag, and no Tania. After reviewing the footage, we learned that Tania had left the hospital at 1:30. There was no way for us to trace her. But fortunately, when the incident occurred, we noticed that Tania was heading towards a mosque located near the hospital. This was also very strange because in such a condition, it is not usual for a woman to go to a mosque. No one would have thought, seeing Tania leaving the hospital, that she had been a pregnant woman just moments before. However, I was also worried about this. But then, finding answers to all these questions became very difficult. When we went to the mosque, we learned that she had not been there either. This area was better known as the hospital's rest area rather than the mosque itself. People who accompanied patients often waited outside this mosque. Prayer mats were always available inside for those who wished to pray while waiting. However, we started searching for Tania from the mosque but found no trace of her. As we continued our search, it soon turned to 2 p.m. and my shift ended. I thought about going home, considering that if I encountered Tania on the way, I would definitely speak to her. It seemed to me that Tania had not gone far. She must be around somewhere. In her condition, she couldn't have gone far. I felt she was nearby, and indeed she was. As I was leaving the hospital and buying a bottle of water from a store, I noticed Tania standing there with her brown bag. I ran towards her. Pretending not to see me, she got into a car. I said, "I'd like to talk to you for 2 minutes." She responded, "Get in the car." Without looking around, I got into the car and sat in the back seat next to Tania. I asked, "Where are you going? How did you leave the hospital? Are you sorry that a patient slipped away from Dr. Nash?" "No, I'm not sorry. But it bothers me to think that you had already paid your hospital bill and you didn't have your delivery there. We were all very worried about you." "Worried? Or were you surprised?" Her words sounded very strange to me. Indeed, we were all astonished by how she had managed to slip away from the hospital unnoticed. But now she sat there so calmly as if she hadn't had a baby at all. I looked around her carefully. There was no baby with her. Moreover, how could any mother be so calm without her newborn? Then I thought the baby might be in that brown bag she had. Tania smirked and stretched the bag towards me. I saw the bag was empty. Tania said, "Do you think I kept my baby in the bag? But really there's nothing in it. It only contains my personal items. Her prediction level amazed me. So, where is your baby? I asked. I'll tell you everything. If you come with me to my house, I will tell you the whole story of my life. And you have to make me a promise. What promise? I had clearly understood that Tania was not a bad person. She wouldn't make me promise anything wrong. Perhaps she wanted me to promise something good. People like her never harm anyone. Her innocent face told me I should trust her. I also wanted to make Dr. Nash happy, as he loved to hear mysterious stories. Whenever he gained knowledge about something, he became very happy. He cherished those from whom he could learn something new. Dr. Nash's thirst for knowledge was being fulfilled as I listened to every word Tania said. I agreed to keep her promise. She shook my hand with a smile, saying, "Then you must come to my house. I'll make you tea and at the same time express my thanks, because you didn't respond to my anger. Instead, you went to speak to the doctor on your own. That was exactly when I left the hospital. I left my baby in Allah's care." I exclaimed, "What? You left it in Allah's care? What does that mean?" She replied, "We are all Allah's trust. We will return to Him." I asked, "Okay, but what did you do with your baby?" She said, "Let's go to my house first. Then I'll explain everything." Tania's house was very close to the hospital, a small home. "Where is your husband?" I asked. Tania said, "Are you going to ask all your questions standing outside? Come inside. I will serve you tea and answer all your questions." As soon as I entered her house, I felt a sense of peace. She said, "My husband is a deceiver. I married him out of love. We first met at a university in America, and we both were studying comparative religion. I don't know when our friendship turned into love. I always gave utmost importance to my faith. I told Abraham, if you want to marry me, you have to convert to my religion. I won't force you, but my religion is very important to me. I can't abandon it under any circumstances. According to Islamic Sharia, I can only marry a Muslim man. However, I wouldn't even consider being with anyone else unless you truly gave up." Abraham reassured me that he was ready to embrace my religion because he recognized Islam as a universal religion that everyone should follow. I trusted his deceitful words and actions and married him. I married according to my parents' wishes, but they weren't very happy about it. By the grace of Allah and my parents' prayers, I found happiness in my marriage. When I became pregnant, his behavior gradually began to change. He stopped performing his prayers, and then, on the day of my delivery, he revealed something to me. He confessed that he had never truly converted to Islam. Instead, he had always remained a Christian, never abandoning his religion. He had pretended to convert to Islam just to marry me, and he planned to end this pretense as soon as our baby was born, because he believed that Jesus Christ is the Creator, and he considered my faith in Allah to be false. Hearing this was deeply hurtful to me. I never imagined he could deceive me on such a profound level. He said, "You Muslims are too stubborn. You try to force anyone you love to convert to your religion. But I will never do that." I replied, "But you should have told me this sooner. Then perhaps I would not have married you at all. It's wrong to deceive someone and bind them in a sacred marriage under false pretenses." I kept explaining this to Abraham, but he defended himself as if the wrongdoing was mine, even though I had never forced him to convert. He believed that once our baby was born, all our problems would disappear. There would be no more religious conflicts between us, no more distance, and our relationship would grow stronger. We wouldn't leave each other. I told Abraham, "I will never forget this betrayal. After our baby is born, I will divorce you." Abraham responded, "If you can really do that, then the baby will be yours for life." But he didn't know that Allah had always helped me throughout my life and would continue to do so even in these hard times. And that's exactly what happened. I cannot explain how I managed to leave the hospital right under Abraham's nose. I didn't even understand how I could muster such courage. My baby was born right after you left the cabin. I felt no pain at all. It was as if an angel had visited me in a dream and left me with my child. I feel so blessed that no matter the circumstances, I never forgot Allah. If I had forgotten my Creator for the sake of a man, how could He have helped me? I freed myself from that deceitful man. Abraham is now searching everywhere for me. He thought I couldn't do it, because giving birth alone is impossible. That's why he had talked to the hospital staff in advance and made all the payments. But now I have an endless miracle from Allah, which I can use to shut him up. If he does not return to the right path, I will never give him the right to be the father of my child. Because there is no record of my baby being born anywhere, nor did any of you see my baby on the camera footage. I alone know where my baby is. I will only let Abraham see my baby when I feel that he has truly embraced Islam. Otherwise, I will not even give him the right to stay in the same room with me, and I will divorce him. And then he won't even be able to tell anyone that I didn't let him meet his child, because Dr. Nash also has no record of my baby's birth. So, you won't be able to take any action against me either, since I left the hospital without the baby. Tania's words seemed very strange to me, but her face radiated a light of faith and conviction. I had no choice but to believe her, and I also promised her that I would never tell anyone about this. Truly, when someone stands firm in their faith, Allah grants them more strength than any worldly warrior. No matter how powerful the enemy is, faith always prevails. In this way, Tania trapped both me and Dr. Nash in a web of mystery, a mystery that we could never solve, no matter how hard we tried. And yes, in the end, Tania also advised me to sincerely follow the hijab, which I have adhered to for the rest of my life. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like it. And for more stories like this,